السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Welcome to this session, the fifth session of al-Murshid, excuse me, the introduction to the 𝗔𝗯𝗍. And today we're going to talk. We're going to start where we left it last week. Sorry, somebody's is sending me a note. Sorry, Shaykh, don't forget to explain to us the condition of someone who says they follow all four schools until one of the imam makes a mistake. Oh, the condition of someone who says they follow all four schools until one of the imams makes a mistake. Right, okay, I think I understand. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Right, so as I said, we were talking about, we spoke about ijtihād, we spoke about taqlid in our last lesson, but this time we have to speak about the different levels of ijtihād. That is what we got to talk about it in this session of us, all right? So in this session, we're going to talk about we've spoken what is ijtihād. We've said which are the conditions to be a mujtahid, all right? Now today, if I'm not mistaken, I left it in this part, which is the levels of ijtihād. Whoever was present there, could you tell me about that? Did I stop here? I think I stopped here.
Yes, Sayyidi. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
We did the absolute ijtihād and the restricted ijtihād. We did the first two.
Oh, we did speak about them.
Yeah, and you touched on the restricted one a little bit, and we were going to talk about the fil madhab and the fil fatwa. That was, I think, where we're continuing from today.
Okay, all right. So let me go recap a little bit. There are two levels of ijtihād. Each one of them is divided into two levels, as you can see here: absolute ijtihād or ijtihād al-mutlaq, and restricted ijtihād or ijtihād muqayyad. All right. Al-ijtihād al-mutlaq is itself divided into two, and al-ijtihād al-muqayyad is divided into two. All right. So al-ijtihād al-mutlaq is divided into two, which is al-mutlaq, al-mustaqil, and al-muntasib. And the restricted ijtihād muqayyad is divided into fil madhab or fil fatwa. Right. So what is a ijtihād mustaqil? Ijtihād mustaqil is when an imam is the ijtihād of the great a'imma, all right, the great four imams of the madhabs, along with the imams of those who did not establish a madhab because their madhab either continued for a while and then it stopped, or it never was, their successors never were, for whatever reason, successful in transmitting it to other schools, to further generations. Sorry, it plays an important role. The fact that the government adopts a specific school to be the one that the one that is the official one, and it becomes preserved throughout the generations, because it becomes the official school of the of that kingdom, or that empire, or that sultanate or caliphate. For example, the Hanafi madhab was the official madhab in the time of the Abbasids, and was the official madhab in the time of the Umayyads. All right, so that played an important role in the consolidation and transmission of this madhab. The same happened with the Maliki madhab in the time of Al-Andalus, in the time of the Umayyads, and the further dynasties that ruled over Al-Andalus and Maghrib, all right, and Morocco, North Africa in general. So the Maliki madhab was the official madhab that played an important role in the preservation of that madhab. So there are some schools that, or some imams who haven't left a school tradition. Imam al-Hasan al-Basri, al-Awza'i, al-Thawri, al-Layth ibn Sa'd, ibn Uyayna, ibn Rahway, Dawood al-Zahiri, sorry, Abu Thawr, al-Tabari, etc. These are imams, Mujtahid imams, recognized. Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, okay, Imam Zayd, and here's where the discussion whether the Ja'fari madhab has remained until our days or not, that's another discussion. I don't want to get into that. But basically, these great imams, they established their methodology. They established their usul. All right. Remember, there were four common sources of law, which is the Quran, the Sunnah, ijma' and qiyas. All right. But with sometimes differences of what is understood by Sunnah, or nuances of what is the Sunnah for one Imam, or what constitutes the Sunnah, what doesn't constitute with another. For another Imam, the conception of ijma', it changes from Imam to Imam, and also the extent of the use of qiyas, and then other sources of law, which there are differences of opinion among whether to use them or not. Okay. So they establish a clear methodology, which could be stated by them or implied in the way they taught and they demonstrated to their students how they derived the law. Okay, sometimes in many instances, the Imam will not say clearly, I take this source, or I don't take this source, but in the way he teaches, it transpires that, for example, he made use of masalih mursala, or he made use of urf, or istihsan, etc. So on the basis of that methodology, legal methodology, they started deriving the law from their sources. Okay, so this is the ijtihād al-mutlaq, al-mustaqil, independent. The ijtihād, the ijtihād mutlaq, but muntasib, the affiliated one, okay, that one is normally is the way the students of a specific founder of a school operated. Okay? For example, we have Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, who has Abu Yusuf and Muhammad al-Shaybani and Zufar. And we have al-Muzani, student of al-Shafi'i. We have Ibn al-Qasim, Ashhab, Ibn 𝗏𝗏, which are students of Malik, rahimahullah. We have Abu Bakr al-Athram and Abu Dawud al-Sijistani, Abu Ishaq al-Harbi. These are students of Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So how these students operate? They follow the same methodology of their Imam. Okay? They follow the same methodology. So regarding the methodology, they followed they did not create their own methodology. Okay? But sometimes they, in their application of the methodology, they differ in the results. So sometimes they will say, no, it's this way, or it's and they will have a discrepancy or a difference with their own Imam, because they, although they follow the same methodology, sometimes they have a different angle how they look at things, or they find a different evidence that brings them or makes them take another opinion. And these opinions from the different students of one Imam becomes aqwal fil madhab, becomes opinions in the madhab. So sometimes we have one case, and that case has different answers. Sometimes the answer is a different transmission from the Imam. So sometimes we say, oh, it's like, for example, in the matter of qabd and sadl, we have different transmissions. There is a transmission from Imam Malik that says, oh, qabd is jaiz. Another says qabd is makruh. Another transmission says qabd is haram. So we get different transmissions from Imam Malik. And the same happens with the other Imams. And sometimes it's not different transmissions from the Imam. Sometimes is the student of the Imam who differs with his teacher. So Imam Malik says, for example, in wudu, you have to rub the limbs of wudu with the palm of your hand. Ibn al-Qasim says, no, you can do it with the back of your hand, not necessarily with the palm. All right? So you can, or with the back, or with the sole of your foot, you can rub your feet with the sole of your foot in wudu, says Ibn al-Qasim. Says Malik. Malik says, no, it has to be with the hand, with the palm. All right? So you can see the different, how the student differs with his Imam. And sometimes what happens? Sometimes the Imam hasn't said anything about a matter, and the students have spoken about a matter which the Imam never spoke about it, and there's differences between them. Ashhab says one thing, Ibn al-Qasim says another thing, and Ibn 𝗏𝗏 says another thing, and is on matters not that they are having a difference with their Imam. Maybe the Imam never spoke about that case, that specific legal case. The case was raised after the death of the Imam, and the different students had different answers. So this is what is absolute ijtihād, but is an ijtihād that is free, is mutlaq or absolute, in the sense that they look to the sources, they look at the sources, and they use the methodology of that they learn from the Imam to derive the ahkam, the rulings. And it generates aqwal, it generates opinions in the madhab. Right. Then comes another level, which is the other level, which is the ijtihād, the restricted ijtihād, where the person who practices this restricted ijtihād, he does not derive the rulings directly from its sources. And we said there are two levels. Let's call this one level 3, because in ijtihād mutlaq we have level 1, the supreme one, which is mutlaq mustaqil or absolute independent. Level 2, absolute dependent, mutlaq muntasib. Then we have this level 3, which is ijtihād fil madhab, ijtihād within the madhab. In what consists this? Okay. Here, obviously, the one practicing this kind of ijtihād, it sticks to the usul of the Imam, but also to the furu', meaning to the cases. All right. So he looks at it looks at the furu' of the Imam, the answers of the Imam, and uses them as basis to provide solution for the new cases not resolved neither by the Imam nor by the direct students of the Imam. So it's as if he uses all these aqwal, all these opinions generated by the Imam and by the students of the Imam as basis for his reason. All right? He uses them as basis for his reason. And it derives for the it looks at the new cases on the basis of that reasoning, of that pre-existing reasoning. Okay? So is as a bit like these previous cases that have existed in law, that is used a lot in especially in Anglo-Saxon law. You look at the previous cases where the answers have been provided and you use them as a basis to answer a new situation. Okay? So they use the judgments transmitted by the Imams as a reference and as a juridical source to derive from them by means of analogy, and they obtain solutions to a new legal case. And that operation is called 𝗙rīj. So, and these are like a lower level of mujtahids who look at the new cases that arise on the light of the antecedents or precedents that exist from the aqwal of from the opinions or the judgments of the Imam and the students of the Imam. So they look at them and they use analogy to give an answer, to provide an answer. All right. And those mujtahids of this level 3 في المذهب, when they don't find any precedent, then they jump into level 2 because there's no other way. But they don't jump into level 2 unless there is no precedent for him in level 3. So they don't go to Quran and Sunnah and derive from it until they look at how whether there is a precedent in all the cases, legal cases presented or provided by the Imam, or solved or pronounced, whatever word you want to say, term you want to use, by the Imam of the Madhab or the students of the Imam of the Madhab. All right. So they don't do this mutlaq ijtihad until they have unless they haven't find any antecedent or precedent in the jurisprudence of their madhab. So it's like a hierarchy. They don't jump into ijtihad mutlaq unless they don't jump into this generation. They don't jump into direct ijtihad mutlaq unless if they can do takhrij. Because by doing takhrij, they keep the consistency or consistence of the madhab. You see, there's no contradiction. Everything follows exactly the same logic. And these are the great ulama who came after the students or the students of the students of the madhab. You know, these are the great, like we can speak about Ibn Rushd, al-Maziri, Abu Bakr al-Arabi, all these great ulama whose role has been to use their legal corpus that exists from the Imam and the students of the Imam and the students of the students up to like 3 generations, and derive from it the law. Okay. Okay, let me just do something. So somebody's asking me, and I'm gonna give this. Okay, I've given an answer about what means. Let me put it in the chat as well. What is that definition of takhrij? Okay, so basically, here stops, strictly speaking, what is ijtihad. All right, because the level 4, when you will understand how is it level 4, you will see that it cannot even be called ijtihad, but it is considered like the last level of ijtihad. And what is this last level of ijtihad? This is al-ijtihād fil fatwa. Al-ijtihād fil fatwa. And what does this ijtihād fil fatwa means? All right. Al-ijtihād fil fatwa is, okay, now I have explained what is ijtihād mutlaq, mustaqil, muntasib, how the different judgments are generated, how sometimes for one case you have different opinions. Like for example, salatu as-salat تقصير الصلاة, shortening the prayer. Is it a sunnah? Is it mustahab? Is it obligatory? Is it jaiz? We have all these opinions in the madhab. From Imam Malik, from the students of Imam Malik. So which one we use? Which opinion we use? In ghusl, do we have to do dalk or not? We have the opinion of doing dalk and the opinion of not doing dalk. Almost in every single matter of fiqh, we have more than one opinion. We have more than one opinion. Is the najasa in the body or in the clothes and the place where the person prays, is it obligatory to remove it? Or is just a sunnah? Or is obligatory only if you remember? Or obligatory if you are able? Every single matter of fiqh, at least that I know in the Maliki madhab, has more than one answer. And this happens also in the other madhab. Not so much in the Hanbali madhab. Hanbali madhab is a bit more unified. But in the Hanafi madhab is the same. You have Abu Hanifa said, and then Abu Yusuf said, and then Muhammad Shaybani said, or then Muhammad Shaybani and Abu Yusuf agree in something and disagree with Abu Hanifa. It's like a triangle. It's three people. It's not a madhab of one person. It's a madhab of three people. In the Malik madhab, you have Malik said, but then there is another transmission from Malik that he says something else, and another transmission that he said something different totally, and then another student of Malik said something absolutely different. So we have all these things. Or there's no transmission from Malik, but 5 different students of Malik, each one has a different opinion. So when you see all this ocean of opinions in every single matter, you have to choose, because when you are going to issue a fatwa means when somebody asks you, oh, what should I do in the prayer? Do I raise my hands when I raise from ruku or not? Do I raise my hands to my ears or just here? Do the palms look to the front or look to the bottom, to the ground? Do I look forward or I look down? Do I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to the right and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to the left, or just one? All these opinions exist in the madhab. And which one the mufti should give to the mustafti? Mustafti is the one who's asking. And in the matter of, because you cannot tell a person who asks, oh, you can do this and this and this, and give him 5 opinions or 3, not even 2 opinions. The people need one opinion to act, because the fiqh is in order to act, not to confuse the people. A person comes and asks you, you don't give him 2 opinions or 3 or 4 or 5 and then let him choose, because then it's like confusing the people and leaving the people not knowing what to do and which one I do. Our deen is based on action, not on storing a lot of opinions. That's for the ulama who need to know which are the different opinions. But the normal people, which is the majority, they don't need to know all the opinions. They need to know which is the judgment in order to act. And the ulama are confronted with this ocean of opinions. Not only ocean of opinion, also, that all the cases have more than one opinion. So here comes the mujtahid fil fatwa, who, what he does is an operation or a process called tarjih. This operation or process is called tarjih. and it's looking and taking into consideration the multiplicity of legal solutions in the same juridical case, he chooses, and he chooses the most correct opinion of all of them, okay, on the basis of the strength of the proof or the strength of the transmission, al-riwaya, either diraya or riwaya. So tarjih consists in stating which opinion is preferred, rajih, over another on the basis of the strength of the proof, of its proof, or on the basis of the strength of his transmission, riwaya. So I'm going to give you here now the definition of tarjih. Let me just tarjih. Okay, and either because the transmission is stronger, for example, when you're confronted with the matters of qabd and sadl in the Maliki madhab, regardless of the strength, which is the strongest transmission? By consensus, the strongest transmission from Malik is whichever transmission is through Ibn al-Qasim, is transmitted by Ibn al-Qasim, and appears in the Mudawwana. So that is the strongest transmission. So if you said no, but there is an opinion of Malik saying, oh, qabd is jaiz or qabd is mustahab, or fair enough. But the strongest of all transmissions is that the one of Ibn al-Qasim in the Mudawwana. And the one of Ibn al-Qasim in the Mudawwana is that Imam Malik considered it makruh in the obligatory prayer. All right? That's on the basis of riwayah, that's the strongest proof, the strongest opinion. Now, if you go to diraya and you start arguing, okay, but this one is stronger on the basis of the evidence. Now, somebody is going to come and argue as well and tell you, well, the saddle also has a very strong evidence, which is the amal al-Madinah. So, from the point of view of the riwayah is the strongest, that no doubt about it. But the point of view of the diraya, some say is qabd, some say is sadl. So sadl has two things: is strong from diraya and from riwayah, and qabd is only strong from diraya. Okay, so what do you tell a person? Do qabd or sadl? Sometimes you can say, okay, do whatever you want because it's not a big deal. But sometimes it's not the fatwa. Sometimes it's the sentence. Is the judge has to issue a sentence. All right, on marriage, in divorce, in financial transactions, when there are disputes about property, litigation, you cannot use two opinions. You have to take one opinion. You cannot have a juridical system where the judges have each judge comes with a different opinion. The judges have to comply with the law, and this process by which you unify the school, so the sentence is unified and the fatwa is unified, is the ijtihād fi al-fatwa, or which consists on the operation of tarjih. All right? Some people say, there's a person asking, is it true that some say that qabd was a rukhsah for the nawafil because people arms got tired? Yeah, in the long recitations, when people leave for a long time the hands by the side, they get tired. So it's true. This is if you read the words in the Mudawwana, it implies what you have just said. Yes. So this is this operation of tarjih is what you see, for example, in is what you see in the manuals of fiqh, like the Mukhtasar of Khalil, where the Mukhtasar of Khalil, you can see how he chooses different opinions. He chooses from different opinions, and he sometimes he doesn't choose. Sometimes he says qawlan, or he says aqwal, meaning more than two. But in many instances he chooses. So actually, the Mukhtasar of Khalil is we can say that is an unfinished work of tarjih, because where do you get? Because Khalil has this thing of sometimes not giving you the answer, telling you, oh, there are two opinions, or telling you there are three opinions. Who does the tarjih? The tarjih is done by the commentators of Khalil, and normally the one that we rely on in the Maliki madhab is Imam al-Dardir. So Dardir is the finisher, or the one who finishes what Khalil did not finish. So you read his commentary, and in his commentary, whenever Khalil has not made that choice, he makes the choice. All right. When he saw that there was a lot of this unsolved matters in the Mukhtasar of Khalil, al-Dardir he himself wrote another text called Aqrab al-Masalik. And Aqrab al-Masalik is like the final word on tarjih. So he's the final unification on tarjih. He solves all the unsolved problems of tarjih that Khalil left unsolved. Yeah. So and by this tarjih enables the people to study the madhab in a unified way and apply the madhab through the fatwa and the judicial system by the judges issuing sentences in a unified way. And that is when we say in the Maliki madhab, we normally refer to that, meaning the strong opinion and the opinion that is used for the fatwa and for the sentence in the Maliki madhab is this, or is that, or this is the position of. It's always after this operation of tarjih has taken place. And as you can see in tarjih, there is no generation of new, there is no answers to new cases. So strictly speaking, there is no ijtihād to give answer to new cases. Is basically all the answers, which is the one that we have to choose. All right. So there is no there's no generation of new aqwal. Is from among these aqwal or opinions or judgments, which is the one that we have to choose. That's why I say, is strictly speaking, is not ijtihād in the normal sense of providing an opinion to a judicial to a legal case, a legal answer, question. It's not providing an opinion. The opinions are there. What he says is he's saying, from this opinion, this is the one that has to be chosen. So now comes the question that begs itself, which is, what about this thing of, oh, the doors of ijtihād are closed? If somebody says the doors of ijtihad are closed, you have to ask him which ijtihad. We have 4 levels, isn't it? Or these 2 levels that divide into 2 each one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We need the number 4, because if we don't have number 4, we get lost in an ocean of aqwal, of legal judgments. So that one cannot be closed. Number 3 is actually generating answers to new cases. It cannot be closed, because if we cannot generate an answer to a new case, then it's like it's like the Sharia doesn't have an answer for the new challenges of the times. So that second and that number 3 should not be closed. Can number 2 be open? Yes, it can be open when you don't find it in number 3. You open it in number 2. Go directly to the Quran and Sunnah if you don't find an answer. Many cases that have to do with especially matters that have to do with health and the developments of medicine, etc., etc. They need a number and sometimes a number 3 ijtihad, which is directly from the Quran and the Sunnah. But normally, if it's not found in the aqwal of the previous ulama, the one that should be closed is number 1. Why? Because now somebody comes with new usuls and creates a new madhab. We don't need it. We have already 4 madhabs, and we have four legal methodologies. So creating a 5th legal methodology is not going to solve anything. So that's the one that has to be closed. 2, 3, and 4 has always to become open. So the ijtihād al-muqayyad always has to be open. And number 2 should be used with care and precaution. All right. So that's my opinion and my answer for whoever says the doors of ijtihad have to be closed, etc., etc. Now, somebody was asking something. Shaykh, don't forget to explain to us the condition of someone who says they follow all 4 schools until one of the imam makes a mistake. Now, this is very interesting, because makes a mistake according to who? That's the thing. Makes a mistake according to whom? To himself. So a person says, I follow the 4 schools, meaning I am a muqallid. I do taqlid of the 4 schools until one of the imam makes a mistake. So he is over the imam, he judges them. So he's a mujtahid, because he can judge whether the imam has made a mistake. It means he has a knowledge that is beyond the 4 imams. He can judge whether they've made a mistake or not. So he's saying, I'm a muqallid, but I'm mujtahid. So it doesn't make sense. It's a contradictory statement. You either a muqallid or you are a mujtahid. If you're a mujtahid and you can judge whether the imam has made a mistake, or has made a mistake in what? In the application of his furu', or in the application of his usul, or in the application or in his, meaning his judgment is contrary to his own usul, so the usul of the imam, or the imam has a mistake in his own usul. You have to clarify where is the mistake. If you say no, the imam doesn't make a mistake in his usul, then you're putting yourself in a position of a mujtahid muqayyad. No, sorry, a mujtahid mutlaq muntasib. So you follow the Imam methodology, but you're saying, but already you said that you follow all the Imams. How can you follow all the Imams when there are differences in methodology that cannot be solved between them? So what are you going to do with 𝗪? Are you going to take 𝗪 or not take 𝗪? What are you going to do with masalih mursala? Take them or not? Or 𝗪 al-Qayrawanī, take that or not? You understand? So it's all this kind of statements is a statement of a person who doesn't actually understand nor has ever studied what is usul fiqh. Huh? And you cannot follow four at the same time, because if you follow four at the same time, then you have to make your prayer. Like, I mean, you have two choices. Either each prayer you do it according to one madhab, and then you're not, I mean, you're following each time one imam, but at the same time you can, because then you'll have to start the prayer like this, then like this, then like this. Then during the prayer you have to change the position of your hands, you know. So you have to say Assalamu alaikum and then Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It doesn't make sense. So which criteria you have to choose? These people who speak like this, they haven't studied not fiqh, they haven't studied usul al-fiqh. Because when you study usul al-fiqh and you know the legal methodology and how all these opinions were generated, you cannot say that nonsense. All right. What you can say is that sometimes I do taqlid of one imam, sometimes in some specific matters I do taqlid of another imam. That is possible. Yeah, you say, what if someone prays Maliki sometimes, Hanafi sometimes, either to apply the remember rule? That is okay, because every time you do taqlid of one imam, that is correct. You can do it. What is the main difference between level 2 and 3? Level 3, it does not derive the rules directly from the Quran and the Sunnah. It derives the rules from the opinions of the Imam and the student of the Imam. And the other question, how would we distinguish between to go up to 2 rather than 3? Is it when the opinion within the madhab aren't sufficient? Yeah, when in the madhab there is no legal case in which you can base yourself to provide an answer to a new case, then you'll have to jump into number 2. But you have to jump. When I say you have to jump, it's not you. The person, the mufti, the mufti who has that capacity and fulfills the conditions. Shaykh, what about the theology madhabs? Do we have to follow them? No, that's another story. A person can be a Maliki and a Maturidi, and a Hanafi and an Ash'ari, and a Hanafi and an Athari. That's not a problem to follow different theological schools. Okay, so I mean I could start with the next the next bit of our introduction to the Risala, which is to speak about it's a short account of the Sunni schools of fiqh. But I rather stop here and leave it here, and I'll start inshallah next week. Sorry, not next week. In our next session, following the program, which is to speak about a short account of the Sunni schools of fiqh. So if you don't have any more questions, we will leave it here. Any more questions? No more questions? Sorry, there is somebody who wants to ask something. Shaykh, I thought creed affects usul, so being Ash'ari is better for Maliki. Actually, it is true what you say. It is true. The Ash'ari school is more based on, or is less intellectual or less rational than the Maturidi. The Maturidi matches more the rational qiyasi approach of the Hanafis. So it does, what you say is that it suits more, but it's not an obligation. It's not an obligation. It doesn't mean, okay, if I'm a Maliki, I have to be Ash'ari, but it does make sense if you're Maliki to be an Ash'ari. And if you're Shafi'i to be an Ash'ari as well. And if you're a Hanbali, it makes sense to be an Athari. And if you are a Hanafi, you can be, it makes sense to be a Maturidi. But it's not an obligation, all right? Shaykh, you said we don't have to do taqlid on theology. Can you please explain this? Yeah, because on theology, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a Ash'ari or a Maturidi, because means that the main tenets of faith, you have to base them on your own, meaning you have to be convinced with an evidence. You have to say, for example, I believe that there is a garden or a paradise, and that those who have obeyed Allah, the believers who have obeyed Allah, will dwell in it eternally. What is your evidence? My father told me. So if my father told me that, I believe that. No. My evidence is what Allah said in the Quran. So your evidence, you don't do taqlid in that. You follow the evidence which is that Allah said in the Quran that. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا. This is like the ayah from the Quran where it speaks about that those who believe and did good actions, they will be dwelling eternally in the garden. So you go directly to the evidence, which can be textual or based on revelation, or can be based on reason. Can the mutawatir qira'at be increased from 10, since Imam al-Jazari increased qira'at from 7? I'm not an expert in qira'at, but I don't think there are more than 10. Is it valid for a muqallid to be making taqlid of any imam he like in different things? Today in Hanafi, tomorrow in Hanafi, Shafi. You can, but do it properly. Learn how it is done properly, and not in a shallow way, so you don't follow any of the 4 correctly. Okay? I would advise you to stick to one, because it's more consistent and it's easier for your life. But if you are to learn all the details of the prayer according to the 4 schools, according only to 2 schools, it would take you a long time. I have been all my life a Maliki, and sometimes I make a mistake in the prayer, and I even have doubts whether, did I correct it properly or not? And sometimes I have to go and go back to the books of it. So imagine you're doing it with more than one madhab. It would be even more difficult, or take more of your time. Imam al-Razi was an Ash'ari, as far as I know, and had a famous tafsir of the Quran. Shaykh, what about mixing between the abwab al-fiqh, between madhabs? No, don't mix. If you do wudu according to one school, stick to that school. All right? Because then if you do something, you do wudu according to a Mālikī, if you touch your wife, you cannot pray according to a Shafi'i. So, and if you pray according to a Shafi'i, whether that prayer is good according to a Mālikī, if you do sajdat al-istirāḥa, according to the Mālikī opinion, that may invalidate your prayer, although the Mālikī madhab takes with the principle of murā'at al-khilaf. But you see, don't get into these things. If you're going to do the prayer, stick to everything related to the prayer, which is one of the conditions of the prayer, which is the tahara. Stick to the madhab that you're going to do taqlid of. Sometimes people say Ash'ari say sometime reason comes first. No. It's not true. Is textual evidence understood with reason? Okay, I think we've arrived basically to the end. Thank you very much, and inshallah, see you in our next session, which I don't think is going to be on this next Sunday because I have things going on. I will let you know, or the Lote tree will let you know when is going to be our next session, inshallah. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Sayyidi Muhammad, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.